Hello, I'm Graham Beckett from the Carey youth team, and today we're going to be thinking about what is most important to us, to you and me. And we're going to take another look at Solomon's life and what was important to him. Perhaps you remember from Abigail's talk last week how God really blessed Solomon and made good things happen to him. Now tell me, what's really important to you? Now, I did ask some children and I got a range of answers, quite interesting. Starts off with my Nintendo Switch, of course, my phone, my friends, my rabbit, my family, doing well at school, winning at football, getting a good job one day, and Wilma. Who's Wilma? Well, it turns out Wilma is the pet dog. So, if you take just a moment and ask yourself this question: what do I think about the most each day? I wonder what it is. Then you'll probably find out whatever that is, whatever your answer to that question is, that might be really, really important to you. Today, we're going to find out what was most important to King Solomon, this amazing king who had great wisdom and yet made some rather silly mistakes. Solomon disobeyed the first commandment. I wonder how many of you can remember the first commandment. You can look it up in the Bible, Exodus 20. The first commandment is, "You shall have no other gods before me." Or, if I put it more simply, put God first. Put God first. I'm just going to read from the Bible now, from 1 Kings chapter 11, just verses 4 to 6. Are you ready? As Solomon grew old, his wives turned his heart after other gods, and his heart was not fully devoted to the Lord his God, as the heart of David his father had been. He followed Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and Molech, the detestable god of the Ammonites. So Solomon did evil in the eyes of the Lord. He did not follow the Lord completely, as David his father had done. I will return to that chapter in a bit. It's pretty hard, isn't it, to put God first all the time? And even a man as wise as Solomon found he could not. Solomon knew God's commandments very well. He was the king of God's people, so he had to learn them. But of course, just knowing them doesn't mean it's easy to keep them. Solomon knew that God wanted his people to marry only those from his country, not from other countries, because they would pray to other gods. Our verse to learn is Exodus chapter 20 and verse 3. You shall have no other gods but me. God knew that if Solomon had a wife who prayed to another god, then Solomon might be tempted to pray to him as well, instead of the one true God, the one who led his people out of slavery to the promised land. That same God is our God, and nothing should be more important to you or to me than God, the true God who loves us and sent Jesus to save us from our sins. The things that are important to us are often quite good things, like family, friends, pets, sport. But none of these things must become more important to us than God. We must not make the things we like and enjoy, however good they are, into false gods. Now, King Solomon had lots and lots of wives. They came from all different countries and they worshipped different gods, all false gods. And I think you can probably work out what's about to go wrong for King Solomon. All his wives were so important to him and he wanted them to like him. So he started to worship their false gods. And of course, because the people soon realized their king was doing this, they thought it was okay to do the same as well. So in effect, Solomon's sin made the people sin too. We have to watch out, don't we, for what's becoming important to us. and make sure it doesn't become too important and overtake God in our lives. Now, God became very angry with Solomon, and even though God told him he must not follow other gods, Solomon took no notice at all. So God had to punish Solomon, and he had to punish him for his disobedience, and made sure some of Solomon's enemies caused him a lot of trouble. Also, Solomon did not end up having a very long life. I'm going to go back to the Bible now and read from 1 Kings chapter 11 from verse 31. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. See, I'm going to tear the kingdom out of Solomon's hand and give you 10 tribes. But for the sake of my servant David and the city of Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, he will have 1 tribe. I will do this because they have forsaken me and worshipped Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, Chemosh, the god of the Moabites, and Molech, the god of the Ammonites, and have not walked in obedience to me, nor done what is right in my eyes, nor kept my decrees and laws, as David, Solomon's father, did. So you see, God said that he could not let Solomon's family be in charge of the whole of Israel. That's God's people anymore. But God remembered his promise to Solomon's dad, King David, that someone in David's family would always be king. So, when Solomon died, God let his son be king for a part of the country, but God chose another king for the rest of it. Well, sometimes if we don't put God first and disobey him, then things can go wrong for us. It's really, really important to remember to put God first in our lives. But we've seen from these true Bible stories about Solomon that that's not always easy. And for Solomon, when he did put God first, God really blessed him with so many good things. But Solomon didn't always do that, and that made God angry. And then some things went rather wrong for him. Now, there are 2 practical things that you can do to help you to put God first, and things that I should do as well. First one is to pray every day, to ask God to help you to put him first, to keep him at number 1. Put God first. The second thing, here's an interesting idea. Why don't you think of one kind, nice thing you can do for someone else every day, perhaps a family member or a friend, and you can do this because you want to show your gratitude to God for all he has done for you in sending Jesus to die for our sins so that we can be friends with God again. Jesus has done so much for us. So why not try and put these things into practice, starting now? Well, thank you for listening, and I hope you really enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.